Hey guys, what's happening? Willie here at the Great Outdoors. Y'all probably think I went out on a 3-hour tour and got lost for 20 years. That's not what's happened in any way, shape, or form. What has actually happened is my work schedule has majorly interfered with my play schedule. That's right, work and play are not intermingling. The chocolate and the peanut butter are not getting along. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm getting at? I've been working a lot. And the reason that I have been working a lot is been trying to get the money together to get Bert right to get on the road. And sometimes when you do these kind of things, they just don't flow, you know. I know when you watch some of this stuff on YouTube, these car building shows and all that, you know, they'll redo an entire car in 30 minutes. And, you know, but that doesn't happen. The only way that does happen is you have 45 people doing it. All the free stuff that you could possibly get handed from every manufacturer known to man, and that's how that happens. I don't have that benefit, okay? I'm working to get the money to get the stuff to make the car right so I can go do things. Now, last Saturday, I decided, regardless of what I thought or what anybody else thought, do I look stupid enough with this hat on? This is a real Gilligan hat, by the way, just in case y'all are wondering. He signed it right there. Anyway, what ended up happening was I left 6 o'clock in the morning. I got up, had all the stuff loaded in the daggone little car in Bert, and we took off, and we were heading to North Carolina. Well, about 12 miles into that journey, that old car got every time I'd try to stop at a stoplight, it was trying to throw me through the front window. The brakes got worse. The rotors got way off kilter from the heat of the brake pads, and it was doing that whole lunging thing, it just wouldn't stop. It would stop, but it was terrible. And when that happens, you can actually mess up steering components. So just remember, people, if you're trying to stop your vehicle and it has this whole your rotors need to be turned, or you need to buy new ones, okay? And if you're going to do that, get new pads while you're at it, because chances are the pads that are on it are what caused the problem. Now, I turned around and came back home, and by the time I got back home, auto parts stores didn't open till 8, so at 8 o'clock I went and bought what I needed. $210 later, yes, that was my tire money. $210 worth of tire money gone on brakes. Now, we're going to talk about cheap equipment here real fast. If you look into the cheap equipment, the cheap stuff, the cheap parts are what cause these problems, okay? Friction on cheap parts warp the rotors. Okay, those brakes were just put on there a couple years ago and they looked great. The pads looked wonderful. But when I looked up the name of the pad, which was like Ichimakalako or Hakamuku or some weird name like that, when I looked them up, a set of front brake pads were $18. Okay, I'm sorry, but $18 brake pads are garbage. Hear me out. That's what happens. Okay, well, they heat up immensely. They hold heat. Then you have cheap rotors on there that you replaced as well. And it happens. It warps the rotor. It makes it to where the thing wants to throw you through the front window. Okay, long story short, came back, changed everything. $210 for new parts. Gold Series everything from AutoZone. Put those on. Stops like a dream now. Okay, stops like a dream. But I still got terrible tires. So I have been working a lot. I cut grass and weed eat and do things like that on the side. And I do that to make money, and I've been doing it a lot. I do that to make extra money. I do have a full-time job. What I do 5 days a week is to keep us alive. So that's why I have not had a chance to do a video. Now, I've had several questions emailed to me. So I figured now would be a good time to answer a couple of those questions, because I usually try to get a few of them together and then answer them, okay? The two questions. We'll go with the first. Well, you're always going to go with the first. No, you want to go with the second first? Let's go with the first second. Or we can go with the second one second, not worry about the first, and just add them both together and make them both one question. I don't think you can do that really. We can try. It ain't going to work, but we can try. Let's just not even go there. The first question is, the rods that I use when I'm using an old vintage spin cast reel. What rods do I prefer? Now, I have already said on numerous occasions that I do not care much for vintage rods. And I don't, because a lot of times they're extremely whippy. They can be very heavy. However, do I have a few? Yes, I do have a few that fit very well with the reel that is on it. So therefore, I leave it that way. I think I have a Zebco and I have a Mitchell. I got a couple things that they match up correctly. The Garcia rod has a Mitchell reel on it, and the Zebco rod has a Zebco reel on it. That kind of thing. And it's cool for the time frame. So that's why I leave it that way. So when I'm going out and taking a vintage reel spin cast that I actually want to catch some fish with easily and be able to cast distance-wise in a more modern flavor, I should say, I like the Berkley Lightning rods. And I think I have one right over here. That's right, I said here. If I could just, if it would only... This is a Berkley Lightning rod. Now this, I usually stay in this realm. I think this is an 8 to 14 pound, and it's a 6'6". Yep, 6'6" medium. Now, I enjoy using these rods for one major reason. They're light, terribly light, and they have the full handle. No gap. No trying to keep up with the Joneses gap here. Full length handle. I like that because I like using both hands on this thing when I cast. This is the rods that I normally go after. These rods now, when I first started buying them, you're looking at about $35. You know, that some people would have went, oh, that's a $35 rod. You're just going to break it. Well, maybe so, but I'd rather break my $35 rod than a $135 rod, because a $135 rod would make me cry like a baby. This just makes me cry like someone who just got given a puppy. It's a different cry. It's a totally different thing. But regardless, these rods work very well for me, and I've only had one of these break. And it was a spinning rod, and the reason it broke is because it was on the monkey, and I was going down the road and the wind got a hold of the reel and started spinning the reel, which had the line going through it, and it bent the rod over and snapped the tip off. I didn't know it was doing that, but that's the only one I've ever had break. So I usually get these things. You can find them just about anywhere. Bass Pro Shops has them. When I buy enough stuff from Bass Pro Shops, I usually wind up with that $10 thing off or whatever, and I'll go up there and I'll buy one if I need it. A lot of times these reels do not stay on the rod. I switch, I go through them, you know, and I like using them because they work. For me, they're great. As a matter of fact, when I was up at Andy's, I let Andy, I had this one, it might have been this one. I can't remember if it was this one. Might have been one of the other ones. I can't even remember. But anyway, Andy was very impressed with the weight of this together and how it worked. And so I think anybody else, you guys included, if you found a vintage reel, whether it's a Johnson, a Shakespeare, a Zebco, whatever it may be, I think you would find it would work very well on a Berkley Lightning rod. I like them. You may get it and go, I don't like that. Well, you know, people, that's why there's different flavors of pies. Because not everybody likes pecan. I don't know why. I can't imagine any reason in this world why. Pecan pie is awesome. Now coconut cream, that's a good one too. That's a really good one. I like coconut cream pie. Anyway, these are the rods that I like to use. Now, do I have a second favorite? As at this point, no. I really don't. Because I have yet to find another rod that I've liked that has that full length handle. I keep finding stuff like, where's it at? Let me find, hold on a minute, wait a minute. What do I do with it? Is that it? That ain't it. Where'd it go? It's over here somewhere. Where's that daggone? Has anybody seen the, what do I do with that rod? Oh, there it is. Okay, this is a Bass Pro Shops rod. This is a tourney special. Here you see this split handle thing. I don't like it. The action of the rod is nice. I don't have a problem with the action of the rod at all. It's really nice. I don't care for foam a whole lot, but I can use it. I can tolerate it. Now, this was a good rod. Can I say it one more? This was a good rod. Here's the thing. Bass Pro Shops. Bass Pro Shops right now holds the record for how many rods I have broken. That's right. And they have all been Bass Pro Shops rods. I recently snapped a Bass Pro Shops fly rod that, where was I at? I think I was at the campground. I was catching bluegills and I was using an underspin. Went to set the hook and it was a 4-piece rod. It was a Dogwood Canyon, White River Dogwood Canyon. I think that was the one that had too many names. Now, I have had three other Bass Pro Shops rods explode like that. Tips break and broke at the joint on a 2, that's 6. 2 different 2-piece rods that have broken where they meet. So there you go. You buy what you want to buy. But I am pretty much done with any Bass Pro Shops model rod. I'm pretty much done. I have a few that have been fairly dependable rods, but I'm not going to buy anymore. I'm done with that. Since I've had 4 now that have exploded where they're put together. Hopefully this one won't do that. It's a 1-piece. So I'm just got my fingers crossed that that won't happen. Okay, there's rods. Those Berkley Lightning rods. I love those things, and that's what I use most of my vintage Spincast reels on. Anyway, let's get on to question number 2. Question number 2 had to do with vintage Spincast reels. Okay, I've had people that have asked me, what do I look for? I've had people ask me, why the Johnsons, why the Shakespeares, why not, why aren't you more into Zebco, this, that, and the other. For me, and this is just me, it was about the history. It was about the sentiment and the history of these reels. I get accused all the time. I don't know if it's accused is the word, but I get accosted, maybe that's the word, about using these things all the time. And we've had this conversation about being old people and kid reels or whatever. But most of the fish that I have caught on these Spincast reels have been a blast. They've been great. They've done fine. Don't get me wrong. They have their problems, and they will, okay? They will have their issues. What I look for, there's the key thing. I don't look for anything. I've been very fortunate to find as I go out. When I go out to places, something off the wall will just show up. Not every time. It doesn't happen every time. I would tell you this, be careful with eBay and things like that. eBay is a frightening thing to have to deal with sometimes because some of the people that are selling these things, they may have gotten it by accident. You know, they may have gone to a buyout or a house buyout or something, and they got everything from furniture, clothes, jewelry, and 2 fishing reels. and they may not know a thing about the fishing reels in any way, shape, or form, other than they press the button and they turn it and they say it works. Now you do have the people that say, oh, been gone through. It's been gone through and it works fine. Okay, well, what's their version of gone through? Is gone through taken completely apart, disassembled like you see me do here at the house? Or is it they took the cap off, squirted some oil on some old grease that's in there, left the old crusty line on it and said it works? You know, then there's people that want to promote the fact that they have the box and the paperwork. Well, that's well and fine. If you're a collector, even if you're not a collector, you know, to buy it and get a good price on it is a great thing. But to buy it, get a high price on it, and then you're going to take it out and use it, well, the paperwork and all of that stuff is, to me, for me, it's useless. I wind up with a bunch of boxes back here. I've got boxes tucked away over here of all these reels but I use them, and most of them I didn't buy because it had a box. It just had to have the box with it. That's just how it worked. So you have to ask yourself, what are you after? What do you want? Remember, there are names out there. Here's a big word. I'm going to throw it at you. Synonymous. That's right. You know, yeah, that confused me too. And I'm not talking about the animal with the big mouth that stays in the water. Synonymous. Names like Shakespeare, Zebco, Johnson, Pflueger, you know, just to throw a few out there. Well, these names are going to be the names that you'll probably find it's a little easier to find parts for these reels. Now you're going to have some oddballs out there, like Ahrex, for example, or Titan, or I mean, I have a, tell me if you've ever heard of this, a Diamond Fury 150. It's a great reel. It's a spinning reel. I'll get it. I'll show you. Stop yelling. Here, Fury. Fury, where are you? There you are. I see you. Why am I talking like this? There are reels like this. The Diamond Fury 150. I had never heard of this thing before in my life. But I'm going to tell you, it was brand new in the box. It had never been used until I got it. I got a good price on it. It's made in Japan. Has a bearing. It says so, bearing drive on it. It is an incredible reel, but I've never heard of it in my life. So, with that being said, how easy would it be to get parts for it? Well, that's the problem. You have to be a little picky about some of the things that you get because it could be incredibly hard to find parts for them. So if you do pick some things like that, Diamond Fury 150, or you pick some Ahrex or your Titan, or you know, these off-the-wall reels that were made in Japan for, say, Sears or things like that, it may get a little complicated to find stuff. But if you pick an Abumatic or a Johnson Century or Citation or a Zebco 33 or something like that, well, you know those parts are going to be out there. So you have fans that are people that are fans of everything. You got the Zebco people, you got the Johnson people, you got the Shakespeare people, and then you got people like me that I like everything. Everybody made something I like. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm a diehard Johnson fan, but I will tell you that the Johnsons and the Zebcos are the easiest ones to find. Those are the ones you find the most often anyway. I do. But Johnson, the reason that I'm such a fan of the Johnson company is because of the versatility of the reel. That has more to do with it than anything. Being able to make it left or right retrieve, being able to make it an underspin, and having thousands and thousands of them out there to be able to get parts for them. I just think that's pretty cool. I think that's a very cool thing, and it's a very sad thing that they're not still around. That's my only, I guess, gripe, is that they didn't stick with what they knew. With the Century and the Citation, I feel like they really had something going on, and if they'd have just stuck with that design, but made it better, as opposed to, I think, unfortunately, when Mr. Johnson passed away and the company went on after he passed, I think what ended up happening was that's when you saw graphite and plastic come bouncing in. It happens. Just like Shakespeare. When you take a look at the older Shakespeares, you see Cadillacs. You know, these things were really nice reels. You take a look at today's Shakespeare, and you see a lot of kind of beginner throwaway kind of stuff. And that's sad. That's a sad thing. At least Zebco is still out there with a lower line as well as a higher line, like the Bullet, the Delta, things like that. So there you go. When you're looking for vintage equipment, just be a little bit picky, because not everything is going to be great, not everything is going to work wonderful, and not everything is going to be easy to get parts for. If you're buying off of eBay, be careful, buyer beware, caveat emptor. Did anybody watch that Brady Bunch episode? I did 100,000 times, because I always thought it was cool. It had a 56 Chevrolet convertible in it. I loved it. Nobody else knows what I'm talking about. But you have to be a little bit aware of what you're dealing with. So get out to your flea markets. Get out to your yard sales. Get out to the Goodwills, the DAVs. You never know what you're going to find. You just don't. It happens. Hit your antique stores. Some of those can be a little expensive, but that's okay. If it's expensive, don't buy it. I've seen many a reel that was expensive simply because they said, I've got the box and the paperwork. I'll tell you something my dad told me once. Son, just because it's old doesn't make it worth anything. That was as simple as you could put it, because he was right. A lot of things that were made in the time frame, just because it's old doesn't mean it's any good. It may not have been any good when it was built. My mother loved depression glass. How many of you out there know what that is? My mother loved it. She didn't buy it because it was worth anything. She bought it because it was pretty. She bought it because it reminded her of a time when she was a child, when she was getting that stuff in free, and when you would turn in certain amount of box tops and stuff like that. So she liked it. It was something cool to her that she collected. A lot of these reels are the same thing for me. It reminds me of a different time. It reminds me of an easier time. It reminds me of a less frustrating, less responsibility time frame that I enjoy, and that's why I use them. Am I trying to catch a 15-pound largemouth on the Johnson Century every time I go out? No. But I will catch fish with it, and I will have a good time. And if I don't have a good time with that reel, well, I've got many more I can put on there behind it. And then I'll fix whatever's wrong with the one I'm not having a good time with. There you go. It's not about everybody else, it's about you and what you want to do. There you go. I will be getting back to you guys very soon. More out in the field kind of stuff. Unfortunately, we are dealing with a hurricane right now. Today is Monday, and it's supposed to come through us at least through tomorrow and Wednesday. And God only knows what it'll leave behind. So the water will probably be destroyed. The roads will be all messed up. Of course, it's just a tropical storm right now, and probably no worse than any other thunderstorm that could come through here. But every day, Bert is getting a little closer to taking a good long journey, and I'm looking forward to it. So I hope you guys will stick with me. Just let me get some more cash flow flowing, get Bert right, and we'll get out there on the road. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you on the next one, whatever the next one may be. Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a fateful trip that I hope doesn't happen when I take Bert out, or I'm gonna break my hip. Doesn't make sense, but it rhymes, and that's what matters.